Hey YouTube, Alex Gordon here, bringing you the latest build that I've done. This is the Catching Fire bow. Most of you probably know that already. Just comparing it here to the Hunger Games bow. Differences, obviously this is a simple recurve. This is a very modern type hunting recurve. This was not very much money to produce, but it did take a lot of time. This took a little bit less time, but it was way more money to produce. You can see the difference in height. This is the accurate height for the bow based on my calculations that I put together based on all the screenshots and everything. Non-functional, functional. As you can tell, I do have the quiver as well. I did make that. The quiver is totally from scratch. Sorry, I gotta put this other bow back up on the wall because it doesn't like to lean very well. Okay. Also had another plaque made, so I'm gonna send them both at the same time to hopefully be signed. Not holding my breath though, but I'll find another way if I have to. So anyway, here's this quick rundown. The Hoyt Buffalo, the base bow itself, is $700–800 depending on where you get it. Mine was $7, and I got lucky to get it for that price. It is a hunting recurve bow, so I mean it's the real deal. You know, it was very expensive, but a very nice bow. Doesn't come polished like this. Mine came black and black with a wood colored grip. Had to strip all the paint off of the riser myself, sand it down to 1500 grit just to get the polished look. But you know, I could have gone further. I just didn't really want to. I figured that this was the closest representation that I could get to what it was in the movie. The sides of the limbs are painted silver, including my covers up here, which I'll get to in a minute. I have a carbon fiber. Let's see if I can show you that. Carbon fiber on the front and back. It's just a vinyl, but it is the correct pattern and direction of the lines, which is the most important thing there. Heat shrink on the tips. It is a dual wall heavy duty adhesive lined 1¼ inch diameter when it starts, 3:1 shrink ratio heat shrink. It was like $25 for 2 feet of it. So, and it wasn't easy to shrink either. You know, most heat shrink you can do with a hair dryer, but this stuff took a lighter, and it had to be, you know, you don't directly put the lighter on it. You just sort of hold it and make sure you're continuously moving. The covers here, I 3D modeled and had 3D printed myself. Here's what it sort of looks like when you get it. Nothing that fancy. You can tell it has the cutout here for the bow, and it's got the accurate heart shape here. This one's not accurate, but this one is. It took me forever to get that accurate shape. Let's see. It's magnetic too, so if I ever have to take it off to shoot it for some reason, I can. I used hard drive magnets there. Carbon fiber on the front here, just like it was in the movie. Had to make these custom covers to fill in these holes, the triangular shaped ones here and the circular ones here. Painted the grip black, and you'll notice there's a little bit of wear right here. Well, I was looking through this book here, the Catching Fire Illustrated Movie Guide, and I noticed in a few shots that their grip was worn in the exact same spot. So they painted it just like I did, and then the wear and tear actually did show through, which I thought was pretty interesting. I will be hitting it with another coat of paint. I just didn't want to do it and then not be able to shoot this video. What else am I still waiting on? I need to have the arrows shortened. They're way too long at this point. I can barely pull it out of the quiver, and even though the quiver is not really all that functional, It's just based on the way that they did it in the movie. It was to make it easier when it wasn't being used, you know, like when she's running around and doing flips and rolls and all that crap. But it's very difficult not to reach it. You know, I can reach it, no problem. But to just pull an arrow out, you can tell that I can't quite get it in one pull. And these are about 7 inches beyond the bow itself once I'm at full draw. So I can have these shortened 3 inches and it'll still stick out 4. This is not a bow that you want to try and hold back at full draw. The only way they were able to achieve that in the movie was because they had a pair of custom 20-pound limbs made from Hoyt, the company that makes this bow. Not sure if I can get this in there. Oh wow, I got it. There's a hole in the quiver for each individual arrow. And you can see when I stand right that there's exactly even space in between each one. There's only one thing missing on my bow. I didn't fill in these holes here. I'm not sure if I'm going to yet. Those are filled in on the movie prop. I did a similar thing here. I filled in the riser hole. No, I'm sorry. The stabilizer hole. Actually, it was a threaded insert with more threads inside of it, so I used a screw extractor and unscrewed it, and then TIG welded it, ground it flat, sanded it, and you can't even tell there was a hole there. Could do the same here and here, but again, I'm not sure because that will actually affect the performance of the bow if I do wind up shooting this later, which I will shoot it. I'm just not sure how much yet. If I do wind up trying to shoot this often and I do need to tune the bow, I will be unable to do that if I fill these in. What else? I think that's about it. Oh yeah, the heat shrink here, you can tell it holds the string from drawing from up here and from down here. Just like in the movie, it stops short here and here. And it's not perfect, but neither was theirs. And again, theirs were only 20-pound limbs, so it wouldn't put as much stress on their heat shrink. Every once in a while, I have to, you know, re-shrink it, but it still holds its shape very well. So I think that's about it for the bow. Now the quiver, and I'm going to go back to this book here. Yeah, that's about how she wears it. So the quiver is, well, that's a bad picture of it. The quiver, the arrows, the nocks, the vanes, everything about the arrows is pretty much totally accurate. The only thing that isn't is the tips, and some of you may have already noticed that. Well, there's 12 individual holes here, and there's not a single possible way that you could feasibly have those holes and have a broadhead tip, because it just wouldn't fit through the hole. And if you slotted the holes so that there was, like, you know, a coin slot in the middle of the hole, then the broadhead would only be able to come out if it was exactly rotated to that one position. I'm 100% confident that in the movie they did not use the broadheads, because their arrows in the movie, when she was at full draw, they were about 3 inches longer than the whole quiver, bottom of the quiver to the top of the nock. So they cheated, as they often do when they do movie props. But these are Easton X7 Eclipses. I ordered the 2512s. Probably should have gotten shorter ones. I'm not sure exactly what number is correct at this point. I could probably figure it out. Haven't done so yet. But these are a little bit fatter, I believe, than the ones that they used. And the reason that I believe that is because I had to shorten these bezels right here. And to do that, it sort of screws up the way that the nock fits in there, so I have to glue them in, which I will do once I'm 100% sure that my vanes are all perfect. And, you know, I use my Scotch-Brite pad to get all the excess super glue off, which I haven't done yet either. Regular tip, but is a threaded insert, so you know, if I get one pack of broadheads, I can walk around with one broadhead in there. I do know which broadheads they were. It could be two different models within the same type, but I'm not sure yet. So again, this book, the reason that I'm bringing this out, it showed me a lot about the quiver. It showed me, let's see here, the exact way that the quiver is strapped, which is 2 rivets at the top, 2 rivets at the bottom for this piece, which holds the strap, and then a rivet here and a rivet here, and this holds another strap that goes around my waist. Now I'm not using that strap right now because I don't yet have the proper buckle for it. It has been on order for for almost a week and a half now. It has to come from Canada though, so that's why it's not here yet. So anyway, my sister wound up getting me this book because she knew I was working on this bow and saw that there were quite a few good shots. And I won't be able to show you everything, but I'm going to try and find a shot of the buckle here. I don't know if I'll be able to very fast, but I'll just give you an example of, you know, like all the production shots. And they're crystal clear, much more clear than anything that you can find on the internet. As you can see, I've marked all the shots that I could need. So that's about it for that. I'm not sure what else that there is I could show you. I guess I could run you through the actual making of the quiver. There's 2 wooden inserts here, and the quiver isn't finished yet again. But there's a wooden insert here, and I may be changing that to metal. And I'll explain why in a little bit. And it needs to be covered with cloth, and then the holes need to be cut out. That's a very hard process. I've tried several times, haven't been able to quite do it yet. But I custom bent these aluminum bands. I hand formed the wooden inserts on the top and bottom using a drill press, a belt sander. That's about it. You know, I sketched it out, shaped it on the belt sander, blah blah blah. The strap is custom, so is the other one, but the other one's not. It doesn't have the buckle yet again, so I'm not even going to worry about that. I did actually replicate the correct double folded pattern of fabric around the top here inside the aluminum. The rivets are the correct size. I mean, I pretty much made it up as I went, but once I got those pictures from the book, which was before I actually started the quiver, everything just sort of fell into place, and it wound up looking pretty dang sweet. They may have had some sort of custom formed thing on the inside of it to help it hold its shape a little bit more, but it would have only been that way in certain seams because you can tell sometimes it's twisted like this or like that, or bent in or bent out. So, you know, they have multiple quivers, multiple bows, and then they just act like there's only one. And then when you're trying to replicate something and you see a quiver that all of a sudden has black bezels on the top and bottom, you're thinking, wait a second now, how am I going to replicate both of those? So you don't, you just pick one, and I just picked this one. Yeah, that's about it. So I will post an update once I have a broadhead and once I have a broadhead, the shortened arrows, and the buckle for the second strap on the quiver. Just want to make sure there's nothing else that I am forgetting here. Oh yeah, the overall cost of my project was about $1,250. It would be cheaper in parts for me to do another one just by a little bit, because I won't have to rebuy a fletching jig or anything like that. But someone has commissioned me to build them another one of these, so I figured I'd get this video up pretty quickly after I finish the bow, and so that they can see, you know, exactly what they're getting. They actually commissioned me before I even finished my bow, which I thought was pretty neat. And so yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you later.